Road rash.
Well, then the little shit. I don't know what she was doing on a gravel
You know
road.
the perfect
Just
place
got
to
hold
go?
of it yesterday.
Huh.
You know the perfect place to go now? Swimming pool. That chlorine will absolutely set you free. But it'll clean her up fast.
Yeah.
Well, you know, yeah, she hurt herself, but then she couldn't get her moped back up because she's not very big. So it was-
Poor gal.
Oh, my son did that and he did it, went to the pool. He was a big swimmer. He came home and he says, "Oh, it's that burn." I said, "Well, rinse it off when you get out."
Yeah.
He takes that for his mother.
Hey, Carl, you want to close out of that window so the sound doesn't come back over? Thank you.
Morning, Dean.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, team.
Got a letter from him from regarding the
Watershed.
I didn't- Oh, okay,
See how.
thanks.
That is right. It's their response to the DNR. And looks like they're not very happy, so I'll read it again later.
I just sent you a text from the Office of the Auditor of the State. Read over that letter.
Are you serious? No, you're not you.
Nonprofits in the county. You don't have to read it right now.
You got it up online.
I'm still yours for there, but
How am I gonna read my agenda?
you don't not sign it on there?
No, I don't have my county email in here.
Sure. I don't blame you. It's good. I can get you after the meeting.
Well, I can, actually, you know what? I can read it from here because
Okay.
I have it on here. People are gonna think I'm on my cell phone though.
You are.
Great.
What's your pen?
Watch me.
Okay. Good. Got it. Thank you.
This is on. We don't have a feed up to the public yet.
Says it's live on YouTube.
Yeah, that's one reason why we were bringing it up a little earlier, because we've been having quite a bit of delay. How are you guys finding this mic? Finding this working fairly good, or
Really good. It's up.
it is up?
Yeah. It's different.
Okay. Yes, it is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
another minute and see if Neil's gonna join us. I know he's up and moving. I talked to him earlier.
Usually emails me.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order this morning. I know Neil's not here quite just yet, but he'll probably join us because I know I've already talked to him once today. So with that, is there, Courtney, do you have any additions to the agenda?
No.
No changes. Anybody else got any things they'd like to place on the agenda for today?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay,
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Stephanie seconded for the approval of the agenda. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed. Motion carries. The minutes, and that would be the minutes of, get the right date.
Tuesday, May
20 what?
26th.
Tuesday, May 26th minutes, what we're approving here or discussing. Any changes, questions?
I see nothing. I think they were wrote up very well. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
All
I'll
right,
second that motion.
all right, very good. We have a motion for the approval of the minutes for May 26th. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries. Neil is here. Morning, Neil. All right, the next thing up is the City of Carroll local option sales tax discussion. I'm going to turn it over to Mike from the city and start us off.
Good morning, supervisors. Thank you for having us. I also have Jack Wardell, our Parks and Rec Director. We're here to talk a little bit about our local option sales tax, just kind of give you a primer today. We're not asking for any action by the County Board of Supervisors today. As you may have heard, the city is looking to do a referendum this September related to the Carroll Recreational Center. Doing a number of improvements. And I don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about the improvements that we're looking to do at the rec center?
Sure. Excuse me. We have a 45-year-old facility that's aging. It really doesn't accommodate some of the things that we see people do today when they're recreating. And we've just kind of, in so many ways, outgrown the space. And we need some new amenities to, one, to keep young families here so they're not going out of town. I'll start with the pool area. Right now, when you come down to the rec center, there's not a lot of items that kids under the age of 6, under the age of 8 really have to do. So we hope an element at the pool, a zero depth entry, small area for young kids to come down with mom and dad and have a safe environment to be in the pool area and get that aquatic experience like the rest of us get when we're down there at the rec center. So that would be the first component, would be a zero depth entry splash pad for young families and young kids to enjoy the rec center. And then currently where the open area is, the patio, we used to have a small pool out in that area. Once we opened the outdoor pool for a couple seasons, we kept that open, but we've eliminated it, just didn't get a lot of use. But we want to enclose that patio area, have another area for lap swimming, water walking, a large slide. So those kids between the ages of 8 to 12, 8 to 14 have that experience also with a large water slide. So we're looking at really the pool area, just incorporate more families and have that experience for them in the aquatic end. And then you jump over to the gymnasium area. We want to add an additional gym. If you're down at the rec center, school year especially, from 3 o'clock till close, that area is heavily used. We've picked up with basketball, volleyball, those activities. We've picked up a big group recently in the mornings, early morning, playing pickleball. So that's a new element that we've acquired down there at the rec center. So that gym area isn't large enough for all the different groups and the things we want to do. And we envision that additional gym area maybe being an area to rent out for basketball camps, for parties, other events that we can help the community with. And then with that, if we add the additional gym on the east side of the rec center, we want to raise running track. Number one activity people have been asking for. Mike and I have heard several times from people, if you don't have a raised running track, I'm not going to vote for this project. So I think that raised running track, get people up there, so not getting hit with volleyballs, getting hit with basketballs, pickleball, tennis, whatever we have in there. Those other activities makes it tough for walkers to come down and use the rec center for walking on a regular basis, a consistent basis. Obviously, when we put the raised running track up on top, that's going to make us have an elevator. So we'll have that expense with the project. So that's just something additional we're looking at. And then we hope that in the weight room, if you haven't been down to the rec center for a while, our weight room has really expanded and really has done a lot of positive things. It's brought people back to the rec center that we hadn't had before, and want to be able to have glass, an area. Hopefully we'll have steps that go out into the walking track. So if you're up on the second level working out, you can get out to the track from that. Those are the major big things. We're looking at some new office, switching the offices around with the activities room right now. We have Kyrie meals in the morning and they play cards. We actually want to switch our offices over there. When you go into most businesses, most places, you're greeted by someone as you walk into the facility, not at the rec center. You walk in, you're like, where am I, where do I go? We want to have that experience for those people right as they get in to know what they're doing. And it gives us a more accurate count of who's in our facility, and we can track that better. So with that, I give it back to Mike.
Yeah, thank you for that overview, Jack. And so obviously one of the discussion points is how are we looking to finance this project? There's really two components that we're looking for financing. One is a traditional GO bond referendum, similar to what you just went through with the jail project. The second would be to use local option sales tax. And as the supervisors may be aware, our local option sales tax does have a sunset. It is set for December 31st of 2023 right now. To finance this, we would need to eliminate that sunset, and then we would use that as a part of the financing component. From a tax perspective, the one thing I can tell you is obviously we have local option sales tax today, so that would not be a tax increase. And with other debt that the city has coming off, mainly the aquatic center and the cemetery maintenance building facility, with those coming off, our debt service portion, our levy actually would remain unchanged from what it is today by adding this rec center project. So it is using these two sources really will not impact the property taxes to the people of Carroll. With local option sales tax, and I did send this out to the county supervisors earlier today, so those at home should have what I just passed out. The little quirk is, and what I just passed out is the resolution that was adopted by the city council back in 2012 when we did our last local option sales tax vote. So you can see the language that was in there. At that time, both the city of Carroll and Carroll County went for local option sales tax votes, and the county removed the sunset as part of that vote. The city of Carroll decided to leave the sunset in. Now, the quirk with local option sales tax is to call for a vote, it has to be called. There's a couple different ways to do it. The most common is it's called by jurisdictions, governing bodies representing at least 50% of the population of the county. So the city of Carroll represents 48.5% of the population of Carroll County. we need another jurisdiction like the county to also call for a local option sales tax vote. So that's why I'm here before you today, is to see if there would be support by the county board of supervisors. Now, you would represent the unincorporated areas of the county. So that's who you would, your jurisdiction you represent in this matter. But then when the vote itself happens, it would only be the citizens of the city of Carroll that would vote on it. No one else in the county would vote on it. It just has to be called by jurisdictions, again, representing at least 50% of the population of the county. It's kind of a quirky thing in state law. And in our bond council, Kristen Cooper with Allers Cooney will prepare the resolution that we would present to the county for your guys' consideration. We'd hope that you could do that at your next meeting next month. So with that, I guess I would be happy to answer any question. And again, really the ask is, would the county board of supervisors support calling the local option sales tax referendum for the city of Carroll? And if you look at the resolution, the only change would be to the call would be to eliminate the sunset, and it would be effective January 1 of 2023 is how, or January 1 of 2024 is how it would be written.
So by us, if we would decide to participate in this, this will not change our sunset on our lost. And we will not vote on it in any way, but it doesn't tie us to any of the debt in any way. I'm just, those are the things that are up front. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, very good questions. I mean, this, unless you guys choose to change your language at this time, your language at the county level would remain the same and unchanged. So it doesn't add or subtract any sunset. And if you go back to 2012, when we had the referendum last with local option sales tax, the oddity was the county did have a vote at the same time as the county, so, or the city of Carroll. So that's how we got the 50% jurisdictions. It's just an oddity in the state law that you have to get 50% of the
50% of the people have to be.
The jurisdictions representing 50% of the people
Okay.
have to support the calling of a local option sales tax.
It's
vote.
not 50% of the people have to vote on it. It's just the jurisdiction. Has to be.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then to your second part of, no, this would be debt incurred by the city of Carroll.
Okay.
So the city of Carroll residents would ultimately be the ones responsible.
And when that goes out to vote, what percentage does it have to pass by?
It's 50% plus one on the local option sales tax question. The general obligation bond is a 60% plus one vote. Now, we will also hold a public hearing in later part of June on issuing debt against the local option sales tax. There is a revision that would allow a reverse referendum. And if a petition would be filed, that question 2 would be on the ballot in September, and that's a 60% plus one. So there could be as many as 3 questions on the ballot.
And they're kind of tied together, but they're not tied together.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So there is a scenario where the local option sales tax vote could pass, but yet the GO bond would fail. And then the council is going to have to make some decisions on how they would want to proceed at that point. If they would decide to do a partial rec center project or not, I'm not sure what the council would do, because obviously there's some pretty substantial cost savings doing one mobilization, doing a larger project. The council had a lot of discussions. I mean, this has been a project that has been discussed for over 10 years. And we really have talked a lot about it for over the last year. And at one point, the council was like, we're going to do the entirety of the project. We started looking at some numbers, and it really just didn't make financial sense to break it up. It may make fiscal sense sometimes, but reality is it added over $1 million to the cost of the project if you broke them up and did it over phases. Anytime you're in an existing building, you're doing phase construction, it just adds a lot of cost to a project. We also, from a timing perspective, there may be a lot of questions of why are you doing the project now? And the reality is this is probably about the best time to do a construction project and to kick one off. We did some financial modeling on this back in December, and we just had some financial modeling done and we received it on Friday. And really with the interest rates that they're at right now, I mean, they're incredible rates. We're going to save $500,000 by just doing the project, just from a timing perspective of what the economy done. And additionally, starting a construction project now, what I can tell you is talking with various architects and cost estimators out there, the pricing right now is just simply unbelievable. And so it's always that juxtaposition of, from the economy may not always feel like the right time to do it, but some of these larger projects, it's probably the best time to do these projects. And if you wait till the economy's at its best, sometimes you're going to pay more in interest, you're going to pay more in construction. And this is a long-term project. There's going to be ebbs and flows in our economy as we pay back this project. And in reality is, this is still probably the best time to go forward. So that's the discussion the council's had, the direction we're kind of looking at right now.
Do you know, and you may not know this figure, the city of Carroll and its jurisdiction, what those dollar totals are on lost money they generate?
Approximately $1.5 million a year is what we generate off local option sales tax. So us extending local option sales tax, we're not going to put all of those funds towards the rec center project. We're still going to do 25% towards property tax relief. The council's also discussed they still want to do the $500,000 a year that we've been doing towards road improvement projects. So those two components will still go in addition to the rec center project itself. And there will still be a little bit of capacity left and lost to do other things.
And the piece that we take in is still underneath our control. We don't, if we're going to put it towards whatever we put it towards.
Yeah. The portion that the county gets or the portion any other city gets, it's
tied together.
They're not tied together.
Okay. Questions? Gene, Dean, Neil?
You said you're gonna plan on having a resolution for us for next week then on this, Mike?
Correct. It'll be very similar to the resolution that I sent out and passed out. It'll just be supporting the calling of that election.
So the only major change probably just that you dropped the sunset on it, right?
Correct. And I'm not an attorney. I would say it's probably a little bit more of also some language that county board specific, just saying that, yes, we're calling the election for the city of Carroll to proceed with.
And you've done the numbers, are unincorporated areas are enough to get you up over.
It
the top.
is.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
I really don't have any other questions on it.
Can't
I
tell.
think I think it's going to be beneficial for all of us that sunset is gone in the long term.
It is interesting. I mean, obviously the city of Carroll, maybe you guys don't know this, but the city of Carroll is the only jurisdiction in Carroll County that has a sunset.
I'm aware of that.
We're one of the minority of the cities in the state that has a sunset. I mean, less than 20% of the cities in Iowa have sunsets in their local option sales tax votes. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely in the minority in that stance.
So Mike, can you explain what this would look like if it would fail and how it would affect the county?
Well, obviously our current referendum language would remain in effect. So sales tax would continue. We would just have the current sunset of December 31st of 2023. And the city would then have to evaluate how to proceed on if we attempt another vote in 2021 with a rec center, or if we decide to just do an independent vote on the local option sales tax. But we would have several opportunities to look at doing another referendum in the case that if the local option sales tax would fail. But in the short term, there'd be no impact, at least through 2023.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it either. I think it's good, definitely for the city of Carroll and for the county. Mike, what percentage of the dollars that Carroll, the county receives, comes from the city of Carroll? Do you have those numbers?
So in general numbers, countywide, 70% of the sales tax is generated in the city of Carroll. So you could just equate that out, that if the local option sales tax would end, 70% of the revenue generated by any of the jurisdictions in the county, being the county or other cities, would decrease by 70%. And obviously the city of Carroll would lose 100% because we would not, the sales tax generated in Manning or Coon Rapids would no longer, we wouldn't take in any portion of those.
I don't have any more questions.
1 second. Neil, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have questions. I have a resolution printed out in front of me, and basically it's going to be the same as it was last time.
All right, so what do you want from us today?
I just wanted to give
Get
you,
the
I know you guys
conversation
like to have
started.
some information. I just wanted to get the conversation going. I didn't want to just present a resolution. There is some really strict, this is unlike a normal geo bond. There's actually longer periods of time and longer noticing requirements. The county auditor has to, by the end of June, has to start publishing notices on it. So this has a longer noticing requirement than a typical election vote would have. So because of that, we have to file our paperwork by June 15th with the county auditor. So we really want to just have this conversation. So hopefully at the next meeting, we can get the support to move forward.
I seen that I had a notice from you, and then I went to my mail, and it's not there, so I don't know what happened, but it popped up and told me I had something.
An email. I had just emailed this out.
And that's what it probably was trying to tell me, and I can't find it. I don't know what. So anyway, so when you get the new one built, just send that.
Yep, as soon as
Don't
we get
worry
it
about
out,
sending the
we'll,
old back.
we'll send it
Okay.
on and
So we can look at that.
Yep. So,
Okay, if you don't have any more questions,
thank you for your time.
thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
And like I said, kind of like we've got our 8 questions answered. So.
Perfect.
All right, very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you guys.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
I don't worry about those. All right. We got just about 4 or 5 minutes here. Somebody want to pick off? You know what? Let's look at the plats and see if we can get those done in about 4 or 5 minutes.
I did send out a new email with one for Francis and back. They were kind of wanting to get it done. It hasn't went through all the proper channels, but you guys could consider approving it.
I did have an opportunity to look at that this morning, Courtney, on that one, and it looks to me like they're just expanding the acreage to square off in the corner of the section.
I agree with Gene. If there's no problem with GIS upon pending those people, I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the plat for Francis Kennebec.
I looked at it too. I didn't see any problem with that one.
But, yeah,
Are we gonna approve them all or?
Hang on, one second.
can we do the Kennebec one separately since it hasn't went through all the channels as of when it came down here? And the others that you got earlier should be fine.
So in case one of them gets hung up, I think that's why we'd like to do that. Stephanie made the motion to approve that Kennebec one. Can I get a second on that? We'll vote on them separately. I'll second that motion on the Kennebec plat. So I'll call for the vote on just that one. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Now, let's go back to the regular plats that were previously sent out. Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve them. I didn't see any issues with any of them.
Okay,
I didn't either. I'll second that motion.
okay, thanks, Dean. We'll have a motion and a second on the approval of the rest of the plats for today. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. We've got about 3 minutes. So want to do a couple committee reports? Can someone go first?
Yeah, I can go first. I just had Region 5 Hazmat last week on Wednesday. There were probably 3 things brought up at the meeting. They're having some issues with the workman's comp for the hazmat individuals. It goes back to the same thing that we had with first responders, Rich, and who's liable. So they're looking at that situation and trying to come up with an answer. There was a change in the bylaws to allow Zoom meetings for our meetings, and there was also a address change in the bylaws as it moved from Iowa Central Community College to the fire department. And the other big thing on the agenda was the selling. They got the new truck and it looks very nice. And so they're pursuing the possibility of selling the old unit that they have. They formed a committee and I'm on that committee to help sell that, try to get some ads out someplace to different counties throughout the Midwest and try to get that vehicle moved. At first they were talking 70,000. Now they've dropped it to 50 to 60,000. But even at that, if the budget does not change, we could possibly reduce the county's input contribution by 50 cents. So hopefully that would be the case, at least for 1 year anyway. So our next meeting, hazmat meeting, will be August 26th. That's everything I had, and I don't have anything coming up. I know Sarah I don't know if she talked to you, Rich, about having another meeting on Wednesday, or at least schedule a meeting for Wednesday.
Okay,
That would be the only thing that I have.
I was just gonna ask you about that, if you'd had any more conversation with her about it. Yeah, and the governor's on Tuesdays, Thursdays now, so I imagine maybe Wednesday might be a good time to have one. Would you guys prefer more, 1 o'clock, or is that okay still?
When are you talking again?
Wednesday,
Having the Wednesday meeting at 1 o'clock. I mean, if we just schedule it, we don't have to have it. But
Right.
At least that we can give public notice to the meeting and.
Right.
I don't know that I don't think, the only thing is I think we're going to see an increase in cases. I think there's an increase in cases in Carroll. I can't say that for sure, but so it's up to you. I mean, I would be for scheduling a meeting on Wednesday. If we don't have it, that's fine.
yeah,
She
there is.
doesn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah, I talked to Sarah this Friday or Saturday, I can't remember which day now. And there is a subject out there that's got a lot of interest between me and her, and I think you probably might be aware of it too. And that might be a good topic of discussion if we need to on Wednesday. But that particular subject is still hanging in the air whether it's a rumor or a fact. So we'll go from that point.
That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Dean. Okay, it's 9:32. I will open the public hearing. For the community development block grant. Do you have, Dalton's gone. Did you have any?
No comments.
No comments on it. Very good. Thank you for you. Chris, do you have any comments this morning?
I really don't have any comments. Carla Janning from our office is also on here. So
I was going to get to Carla because she's usually on a lot more information than you have. So
that's generally the case, Rich.
Carla.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for taking the time to do this. One of the pieces of the puzzle here is just to kind of include a housing needs assessment that you guys will approve. And we went through the Carroll County Housing Needs Assessment, and it's probably included in your packets there, what the major items that we came up with.
Yep, I think we've had some discussion about this before.
Yeah.
So
And
I guess, is there any other questions for Carla that you want to have her finish here, or do you have questions on this? Any popped out? It looked like a straightforward program to me, Carla.
It will. I think it's going to be well received. We have some good relationships with local realtors and bankers that we do a consistent amount of down payment assistance throughout the year anyway. So with this program being 5 homes and $211,000, that's a lot of down payment assistance. Again, it can cover up to half the down payment and closing costs. And there's also some money for lead-based paint remediation should the house be built before 1978. So I think this will be a real win for the county, and we appreciate your support.
Well, this gives us an opportunity to get the unincorporated and some of the communities involved where they may just have a home, but they can't qualify for a bigger piece of the pie. And this program is really not meant for one at a time. It's meant for 5 or more at a time. So this will give us the opportunity to kind of pool together to make some improvements around the county.
Correct. The fact that it's both for cities and rural areas is kind of a plus for doing it countywide instead of city specific. So we appreciate that.
Okay, so we have quite a list in front of us. Do we need to attack these one at a time? Can we pool together? I know the resolution will be maybe a little different.
Well, once we approve the housing needs assessment and close the public hearing, I'll leave that comment up to Chris on whether they can be pulled together or one at a time.
Did you guys receive any comments out there on this?
No,
Chris, did you guys at Region 12 receive anything? Carla?
No,
No, we
we
didn't.
did not.
Okay, very good. Carl, is there any comments on the screen about this particular subject right now? Okay, there are no other comments or questions. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. It is now 9:36. Okay, so we're going to move on to the,
We need to, your board needs to approve the housing needs assessment.
okay, I see. Okay, we need to make an approve the housing needs assessment portion. Is that a resolution or is it I guess just a straight vote? So I'm looking for a motion for approval on that.
So move.
A second?
second.
Second by Gene. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed. Motion carries. All right. So we have, Chris, can we do all these at one time? We have the approval of the technical services provider, approve the administrative services provider. Can we do all those in one shot, or do we have to do those one at a time? Would you rather that done that way?
I don't think it makes any difference to us.
Courtney? Separately? All right, so the approval of the technical services provider.
We sent out RFPs for this, and we got one from Region.
We have one RFP that we had sent out, and it's from Region 12. So I would like to have a motion on the approval of that.
So then Region 12 is the technical service provider, is that correct?
Yes, so the only ones that sent back an RFP.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second that motion.
We have approval and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion, and opposed? Motion carries. Okay, move on to the approve the administrative services provider.
I'll make a motion to approve the administrative service provider.
And that would be Region 12 as well?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'll
second that.
okay, now we have a second. Okay, I'll call for the vote for the approval of administrator services provider as Region 12. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed. Okay, the next thing up is the approve the administrative plan. And Region 12 will have that. I'll make the motion that we approve the administrative plan.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have a resolution 2020-008. Application and number of projects for 2020 CDBG Home Buyer Assistance Program.
I'll move to approve that resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. As a resolution to be a roll call vote.
Ruggles,
Yes.
Yes.
Miners,
Yes.
Shetler,
Yes.
Bach,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, next item up is the HUD disclosures. Do we have all the info on that? Need a motion to approve the disclosure?
Also move to approve the HUD disclosure.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed. All right, and the last one is the federal assurances page. And I'll make the motion that we approve that.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed. Motion carries. Okay, Chris, Carla, anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks,
Thanks,
Carl.
Chris.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you, guys.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Very good, very good.
Morning, Zach.
Morning. Next item up is secondary roads.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
I have about 6 utility permits this morning. All of them are pretty simple. First one for Raccoon Valley Electric is just providing a service bore underneath 230th Street. I don't see any issues with that one at all. There'll be their required depth below and should not be any concern.
Where's that located at, Zach?
It's just east of Velvet Avenue on 230th Street. So, trying to look here, it'd be about 3 miles from the Greene County line back west. Kind of between there and Timber Avenue on 230th Street. Right? I'm sorry. Yeah, it is.
I thought I heard it first. There's a lot of.
They're boring all the service lines underneath. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a way to get those crossings out of the way for whatever it might be.
Dump
So
trucks, all those things that go wrong.
it's a good thing.
Did you want this?
We can do them all together. So I'll move on to the next one unless you have any questions.
Yeah. Where, is this in Pleasant Valley?
I don't have the count.
Oh, no, it's in Richland.
Richland.
Richland, I believe.
Yeah, Richland Township, Section 3, south side. Got it?
Yeah, got it.
of these apps one at a time, or utility permits one at a time? Or you all on one screen?
We can do them all together.
Sound good.
Next one is for West Central Iowa Rural Water. And this is boring across 290th Street for serve a hog unit. This would be northwest of Manning, about a mile and a half. Again, I don't see any issues with this one. They're going to be their required depth. It's a 2-inch water service.
So that's an E-Walt then?
Correct. Well, section 7, 7 into 6.
Okay.
The next 4 are Windstream permits. The first one is Delta Avenue and 320th Street, just east of Delta on 320th. This would be basically where we replaced our bridge. There was a temporary line that was laying out there. This would be boring that line back underneath the ground where it needs to go. So, right now, it's just laying on the surface in the ditch. The next one is not too far from that. It's Concord and 290th Street. On 209 or on Concord, they're replacing about 3,300 feet of 12 pair of copper cable. They're gonna put it back in about the same location it was on the edge of the road by plowing it in, and then there's a couple road culverts they'll have to bore, as well as boring across Concord to a residence.
Who's the utility?
Windstream. Next one is another Windstream, 2,500 foot of 12 pair copper. This is on Birch Avenue, just south of Manning. It's crossing Birch Avenue and then running a little bit on 320th Street.
320th?
320th, correct. There is a couple culverts to bore, as well as boring underneath Birch Avenue. So we're putting in this on the edge of the road like we normally have, plowing it in, minus the bores that we have to do, or they need to do. This is new line, I believe. There's not line there. They're connecting to an existing pedestal in the middle of that 320th Street mile.
Will that be a problem when any of the future work we plan on doing in that road?
I don't think so. I think we're the bore underneath Birch shouldn't be a problem, and then 320th Street, putting it on the edge of the road, plowing it in seems to be about the safest place. I guess there's no guarantees, but better than the bottom of the ditch. And the last one for Windstream is on Ranch Avenue, way in the northeastern part of the county. Button up right next to the county line with Calhoun. Basically, it's from a 10-895 ranch to 10-142 ranch. Again, boring road culverts. There's a couple of those, and connecting to an existing pedestal. I believe this is replacing some that's already there. It's abandoning a line that's existing. So this should be Sheridan Township, Section 1.
And how many feet is that on that?
Roughly 2,500, I think, if I remember right.
Okay.
Could have been a little bit more than that. They didn't give a footage on there. They just went from address to address.
Okay. Is that all the utility permits then?
That's all the utility permits.
I'll make a motion to approve the utility permits.
I'll second Gene's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of the utility permits. Any more discussion? Not, I call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah. Thank you. Other information, we are looking to start doing some contract graveling middle to end of this week. This would be down in the southeastern quadrant of the county, basically. We've done a lot of the northeastern part with our own crews, and we'll continue doing that. We try to do a little bit more ourselves this year with the weather conditions and just the opportunity with what we have.
The need for the work to do it.
Right. So, but we'll still do close to 40,000 tons out of that area. So coming from the Reinhardt pit. So nothing out of the ordinary from normal, I guess, on that. So.
And you received applications for the job?
We did.
Currently reviewing them?
Yep, going through that process. Hopefully we'll start getting down who we're going to interview and starting that process late this week or next week, depending on
Tough time to be doing that. It's hard to get people in for interviews.
It is. We'll see how that process works and what availability is.
And what have you. You can always use this room if you need more space.
Okay.
Get away from each other. Let Courtney know. That way, in case something else is here. There's not much else going on here right now.
Right. So. No, we got a couple ideas on that. Okay. That'll make work. So
very good.
Any questions for Zach?
Did you receive a fair number of applications for that job?
24, I believe, which is okay. I was
That's
kind of
quite a few.
expecting more, but uncertain times, I guess it's kind of a.
All right, very good. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Zach, you cut out. When do you plan on interviewing?
Possibly late this week or more than likely next week.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Zach.
Carroll, I want to discuss the ambulance department, the paramedic wages. Did you all guys all get a copy of Renee's opinion?
No, I did not.
I did not.
I got it.
Let me find it.
Carol, did she say 90%?
She was recommending, Rich brought up to 80%. She was recommending going on these provisional paramedics and 90% of current wages, because when we hire new, we start at 90% of new. 6 months, they go to 95, a year full. And she thought since 90% was already figured in one way, we just as well hook it up this way too. That's what Renee sent to me
That's the
in a nutshell. The other thing it brought up is we don't pay part-time paramedics as much as we do full-time. Right now, a part-time paramedic gets $19.27 an hour, but 80%, that kicks him up. That he gets paid $15.42 an hour, and we're paying him $14.68 to be an EMT. So with part-time at 80%, we're not even getting him a dollar raise to become a paramedic.
Any questions for Daryl? So she basically recommended moving both to the 90%.
She basically recommended moving them both to the 90%. Since it's already in the contract where we do a 90% split, she thought that might go a little easier. And I've talked to the union and they're comfortable with it too. So
have you heard anything at all on when they might open this up? I mean, until they get rid of this, they're not going to do any testing. If they're going to have to go to Des Moines and do a ride with and some other groups down there.
yeah, they got to do little hoops. They can do the ride up here. But what there is for testing, there's a station. It's a hands-on testing station. There's 12 different skills you got to perform. And that's what they're waiting on doing. And you're in close contact with a lot of people. So that's the one they're putting
So they're
on.
doing that in a group situation. They don't do them one at a time.
They do it in a
That's where the snag is because of the group.
They get a whole group set up and you got to travel. The closest one that we know of right now is in Missouri. But you got to travel a long ways away and you'll have 30, 40 students there wanting to test out. And then you've got all the testers, evaluators, and all that stuff. So there'll be a couple hundred people there no matter what. And that's what's slowing them down. And then two, there's none scheduled in Iowa right now, they were telling me. So you got to follow Missouri's rules or the other state's rules. So that's what's hanging them up.
So is it 90% full-time paramedics?
That's, she was suggesting.
Any more questions on that?
What were you originally thinking about doing, Daryl?
I was thinking about 90. Rich was talking about 80. And we just gotta figure out what you guys want us to do.
Well, the 90, after I read Renee's opinion of it, I understand it a little bit better.
Renee was actually in favor of the 90%. She's the one who brought it up.
I know we had a situation before and I understand that. This is just it's got so many different elements to it that the other one did.
Yeah, this is nothing like the other one.
At least this one is up front that we know about.
Hey now.
So when can we anticipate certification?
I don't think we can, Dean, not until this COVID situation, because they're group testing them. And like Daryl said, there could be 100 people. Time you get the applicants and the evaluators there, it could be 100 people, but I assume as fairly soon as they get maybe opened up where we get bigger groups, maybe we could be able to do that.
Well, I think you better have his name in on the list right away.
Well, yeah, that's what I should say. We want to make sure we keep everybody in line as quickly as we can. I mean, they've done the work. They just need to be tested on. It's going to be hard too, because they may have to do some refreshing before they get there. Because it's, you don't use it, you kind of lose it fairly quick.
It's
Well,
hands-on.
that's exactly what I was thinking. It's going to be.
It's hard. Yeah.
It's a hands-on station, so they'll still be using it daily when they're working. But like I said, we don't know what state they'll even have to go to test out. So we got to worry about Iowa's laws and then other states. The one guy had his name in to go to Missouri, but that got put off from this, and he's already missed the date because they canceled it. It was in April, I believe. So we have no idea when they'll let them test. That comes out of a National Registry federal deal. So it's whenever the federal government decides they can do it, that's when we can.
That's not a state-driven thing. That's a federal.
That's a federal.
Federal.
You take federal tests, and then after you pass the state, or if you pass the federal, the state will pass you. That way the state don't have to make up any tests or do anything like that.
All right, so.
Is this something that, if we do approve this, is this something that we should put a time on this as to review it again, say in a year? And the reason for that is, I mean, things could change in a year.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
That's a good point, Dean. I'm not sure I'd like to go a full year, or maybe 6 months at a time, and then reevaluate. And if we're kind of in the same boat, we just can either continue, or we'll hopefully hit a test window.
My concern is that, and 6 months probably would be better. I mean, if we test and somebody does not test out, then what happens?
Right.
That was my question. What if he doesn't pass the test?
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully I got more faith in him than that. I mean, but
pretty
there's always that option.
I'm pretty sure he's passed. They both passed their classroom. They both passed the federal written test. And those are the two hardest parts. I've worked with both of them, seen them both do enough work where they'll make it through their skill stations.
Okay.
So this is two individuals, Daryl?
Yeah. One's a full-time and one's a part-timer. If I was worried they wouldn't make it through this last skill session, I wouldn't be talking to you out like this right now, because they'll make it through that. You get 3 attempts at each station, and then you get more than 1 attempt, so they'll get through there.
Well, and the thing is, if they're working on a temporary thing now with another paramedic, at least they're using those skills like you say, every day. That should keep them fresh. I think we're just in a bad situation here with this COVID thing, and that
Yeah.
I know we've got thoughts of what happened the last time, and
Yeah.
I think we're smart to go ahead and move forward with this.
But right now they can practice as a paramedic, so right there you're different than last time.
Yeah.
You just don't go out and pick paramedics off the shelf.
No. Okay. So I think we probably should do a motion on this to get this on the record. That's what I think. And then I think we should maybe reevaluate it in 6 months.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think we bring it back in 6 months if there's no change. And of course, if they open it up and they get a chance to go take it and they test out, then we don't have to worry about it. We just let her go.
Right.
So that's what I would recommend. In fact, I'd make the motion that we do that way. It's move them to 90% the next 6 months, and we'll reevaluate it at that 6 months time period.
Does that include part-time paramedics too? 90.
You gonna put that part of your motion that's due to this COVID situation?
Yes, I will include that, and also the part-time people, the part-time paramedic also the same. He's trapped in the same boat. So, and yes, due to the COVID-19 situation we're in, that's why I want to reevaluate it in 6 months, because things change fairly quickly some days not. Okay, so I got a motion out there.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion carries. Thanks, Daryl.
Thank you guys for your time.
Yeah, that's our work on this bad situation. But here we are. Okay, the next thing up is a courthouse door automatic opener quote. And I believe it was $1,200.
800 in parts and 400 in labor. 800 in parts and 400 in labor.
800 parts, 400 labor, total of $1,200. And Courtney, can you enlighten us a little bit? This is, it works off of a sensor and it opens. Okay.
And then I did the same thing. So
Both
during
doors.
during a meeting, you guys asked me to quote that, basically touchless door. That's what. So, you know, if you move forward and get that done,
It'll take time to get the parts.
obviously, or being one of those. I didn't think that was too bad.
No,
I can't hardly hear Courtney. Is this the door that we're having issues with?
No, this would be to make that front entrance a touchless entrance when you're entering and leaving. So you no longer have to touch the handles. They'll automatically open for you. Everybody's frozen.
We lost everybody.
No, I'm still here yet.
How do you?
said there might be like a sensor you just wait.
So is this a motion sensor then that's going to activate and then open the door?
I didn't either. I thought they were gonna have to
Push
replace.
5-6 grand it easily.
They're back. Did you get that or where'd we lose you at?
I guess my question was, is this a motion sensor that's going to sense somebody at the door, front, inside and out?
Yes, Dean, yeah, Stephanie was explaining that and you guys froze up. But yeah, it works both directions. You walk up, it opens like a grocery store type thing, it opens. And when you're leaving the building, it does the same thing. Which, honestly, to me, I thought it was a lot less than I expected for that quote. I thought it would be out of sight. I thought it would be $5 grand or better. I was shocked.
So with the current the touch button that we have right now, would that then stay or would that be eliminated?
I don't know.
I don't know about that. It may be no need for it, so it may go by the way. And that may be where the motion, now I don't know where the motions are put. Most of the time they're at the top of the doors, but somebody's looked at it that understands it fairly well. I mean, they only wanted $400 for installation, so it must not be too difficult. The advantage I see to this, I know it's $1,200, and I probably maybe shouldn't think this way, but this is COVID related. We could see some recovery dollars on this. Whether we ever will or not, that's to be seen, but these are things that we can operate without. So I would assume that it would qualify. And I think we should treat it that way. Just keep track of it, how much we spent, that kind of thing, and hope for the best on that.
So who's the vendor here with this? Is this with Carroll Glass or?
No, not sure. I can maybe find out. I don't believe they're local.
I can read it.
Well, I don't think this is anything that we're going to be using right away, but I think at some point in time, I think it's probably okay. I think it's a good thing.
Couldn't see from your
I think you're
screen.
right.
I think they're out of the Des Moines metro area. That's what Courtney thinks. That's what Zach had said. And I see there's both doors, both those doors. So what say you? Should we pursue it?
Well, I think it's probably, I think it's probably a good idea. The only thing is how you're going to handle that if right now we're in the situation where we're just doing appointments, and hopefully that's going to be just short term, but when you lock this down, then that motion sensor doesn't work?
I assume in most grocery stores have a button, they reach up and they flip it one way or another, and that either activates the door or it shuts the door off. So there'll be some type of activation switch of some sort to either allow it to work or not to work.
Okay.
Well, I guess my main concern is if we get to the point where we're allowing people in, yet this COVID thing is not over yet, are we going to have somebody going to have to go out there and disinfect those handles and that type of thing? So I guess, right now, if somebody touches it, it should probably be disinfected. And so I guess that's what my main concern. And if you don't have to do that, that's going to save our employees some time, or who's ever going to be doing that. So I guess I would be in favor of this. And it is, like you said, Rich, a nominal amount of money. I mean, it's not $5,000, it's $1,200. I think it's worth the effort, and I would make a motion to approve that.
I tend to agree with you, Dean. I think this thing would probably save us some time with staff as far as keeping the door disinfected. You probably have to do it, but you wouldn't have to do it as often. And
You're still going to have to touch it, but I think you're right, Gene. It'd be a lot less frequent.
Yeah, and I will second that motion.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of a automatic opener.
Courtney, could you get me that name of that vendor so I can do the reporting correct on this?
Yes.
She said she would.
Okay.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next thing up is treasurer discuss retirement and appointment department update. It's a multitask thing.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
I just wanted to touch base. Good morning. Just wanted to touch base with everyone right now. with June 30th being my last day here. There's a lot of things that we need to get in place, and I'm just asking you as a board. I think you're having a special election shortly after the 1st of July, or maybe on July 1st, not an election, but a special meeting, and you're going to discuss the appointment or, you know, the future of the treasurer's office at that time. What I'm asking you is right now, if you're willing to at least state your intention so we can move forward. I have a list of several things that need to be accomplished between now and the 1st of July, and a lot of those hinge on who the new treasurer will be. So I would request at this time that if you'd move forward, if you could move forward and name your intention. What are you intending on doing when I walk out? I didn't hear you. Just do you. Not everybody at once. If you want me to, I can expand on this. Like, you know, we have tax billing coming up in July, but in June, we have to sign a contract with our company that we're going to do tax billing with. We have to spell out the different steps that we want, what we need for our tax billing situation. I'm not at a point to make those because I won't be doing the tax billing myself. It would be nice, whoever steps in my place, if they could be included in this contract, so he or she could voice their opinion, how they'd like to run things. We have signature cards, we have investments to make. Banks will all have to be notified. Tax sale right now is questionable. It would be nice if you know, I had an opportunity to visit more closely with whoever the new treasurer will be. So there's several, I have a whole list of different things that are necessary. It'd be nice to know ahead of time, you know, because we are entering the season where contracts will have to be signed. DOT will have to be notified. So it would just be very helpful for our office if you would state your intentions.
Well, I can go here. I guess I've always felt that if there was a very good candidate that was recommended for a position, as far as an elected position, and could continue to run the office without any issues with efficiency. I've always been in favor of that. I know that's not always been in favor of an appointment. I know that maybe a couple of the board members don't agree with that, but I do believe for the continuity of the office, I think it's important. The treasurer's office is a big office, and it has our most, aside from the sheriff department and probably the secondary roads, has the most individuals. All offices are important, whether they be the auditor, recorder. But I would continue with the way I feel about this, and would vote for an appointment. I would give my intention to go along with Jean's recommendation. And we cannot, at this point in time, also, we cannot have a special election because of the time required. We have to wait. This person would also have to be on the ballot in November. And if we don't appoint somebody at this time, then the auditor would be in charge of that office. And I don't know if that is a good situation. I'm sure that Courtney could handle it all right, but I'm sure if there was someone who was capable of running that office until November, I think that would be the recommended choice. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Dean.
When is that?
I've always felt that the person who is elected to the position, whether it be the sheriff, the supervisor, or the treasurer, is elected to serve their term, and they should continue until their term is expired. Opposed to quitting in the middle of term, which is beyond our control, and there are some unique situations or circumstances involved here. So I don't think we have much of a choice except to make an appointment at this time, effective. And we can't make that apparently until we get an official resignation. But I think we need to make an appointment because of the situation we're in. And I think we should seriously consider whatever Gene's recommendation is.
I tend to agree with you. We're putting in a position here where we don't have a lot of choices. The timing is kind of wrong on this thing, and to no one's fault. But I think too, we need to do an appointment, and I would go along with Gene's recommendation also.
I will agree. I'm not for appointment typically, but in this circumstance, obviously, I would do your judgment to take it a step further at that time when that happens. As of right now, I am not for filling that position, whoever steps under you, whoever takes your position, filling the position that she was in prior. Make sense? Say that again. Yeah.
Somebody's got to step in and take that position.
Right,
Fulfill those
right,
duties.
right.
Yes.
It's the vacancy at least at the bottom. That's what she's.
I'm not sure I completely follow you, but
So your recommendation would be who?
when I submitted my letter of resignation, I recommended Lisa Wagner.
So Lisa Wagner then July 1st would step in for you by appointment. And then Lisa Wagner's then position she had within your department, I would recommend somebody within your department to oversee her responsibilities.
Not to hire from outside to fulfill that position, But we would have to hire someone to fill up the vacancy. Right. And with that, with the new treasurer, the deputies may be reappointed. I mean, she may decide, the new treasurer may decide to keep the deputies as is, but it's her, also her, I don't want to say responsibility, opportunity, whatever. She can change that. She could appoint different people too. The deputy positions.
She may throw two together.
She may split them. She may throw two together. Yes. So there's going to be, again, there's going to be a mix of duties that we're going to see. Yeah.
So this is just a random question. How many deputies are required per department?
That's different offices. Jones County hires, when they hire, that person is hired as a deputy. It takes care of all of the salary questions because that person is automatically hired at, I think it's 65% of the treasurer's salary. So there's not the squabble between offices either about why can one office hire at $5,000 more than another office per year. It's based on the salary of the elected official. So it differs from county to county. You don't have to.
It's not required.
No.
So how many are in that Jones County office? Do you know?
I don't know, but I would guess maybe 10.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask this. Do you know, do all the Jones elected officials make the same?
That I don't know.
Treasurer,
Yeah, that I don't know. But it's different from different. Yeah. And I know, like right now, I have the motor vehicle deputy, I have a tax and financials deputy, and I have a driver's license deputy. So I have 3. And at one point in time, there was also a deputy treasurer. So there were, that's an additional deputy position. But that's it.
Let me guess,
let me say this, there is no opportunity for a election until 2022. Fall of 21, I'm sorry.
Courtney would have to answer that. This November. So who's appointed now, the person that's appointed now will be running?
If they want to continue that position.
So they'd be filling from July 1 until the
Until the
election.
election. And they'd have to run
Very
this November.
Okay.
Unless there was a petition calling for a special election.
But there's not
There's not enough time to even do a special election.
Right. There's
Between
no
that and her term, when her term is up, when's your term end, Gene?
2 more years.
Yeah.
So this individual would have to be on the ballot in 2020 and on the ballot in 2022.
Yes.
Yes, it'd be a 2-year this year and then go for the first full term.
Courtney, is that what you were faced with? Okay.
Okay.
And I did too. When I was appointed, I had to run also right away for 2 years.
Okay, everybody on the same page now then?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the term period remains the same. It's just that the appointee will be appointed until the next regular election. And then finish the term.
Okay. So what are you looking for there? Just a kind of a
I just
verbal
want
commitment that-
yes, something verbal so I can start signing contracts. I can pull, if you're accepting, if your intention is to accept my recommendation and appoint Lisa as the next treasurer, I'd like to have her name on some of the contracts as a contact person. She can get started with her tax billing when that rolls over from Courtney. We can contact, we make our initial contacts and get things changed. So that's what I was asking for. That's what I was looking for.
I'll ask the reverse of that question. Is anyone on our board have a different idea than appointing, taking the appointment of Lisa? Is there other ideas out there?
I don't. I think we're in the situation where we have to just do what we were just talking about. Is appoint temporary till November and let the voters decide if someone wants to step forward and run, and then it is what it is, but.
I think it's especially important right now with the circumstances that we have, that, with COVID situation, just think it's important to move forward with this too. And keep things going the way that they are, best practices here. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. Next thing is committee reports. Anybody would like to go?
I can go really quick. Last week I had the daycare meeting Monday, and then I did reach out to Zach. We talked about a drainage district issue. He was in contact with the landowner, and then I did go up to the assessor's office and had a conversation about the guy going around doing assessing the properties wearing PPE. She did make me aware that he does have all the proper personal protection stuff with him if the landowner requests that they have it on. So they're not going to just show up and have the PPE on, but if it's requested, they will put it on. And then we had the emergency coalition was canceled, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
This week I have Carroll area daycare today. And then supervisor meeting Wednesday. And I think that is it for this week. Yep.
Okay, I'll go next then. Tuesday, May 26th, had an RSVP and a foster grandparent joint meeting. It's a little bit unique there in that they're working with a very vulnerable population there. They don't plan on opening up officially until July 28th, but we will have a special meeting if we get the green light before that. A lot of the volunteers and staff are elderly people, and we need to be especially careful with them. As far as program grants, that's on a continuous resolution, so we think we're okay there. United Way funding was reduced, and it was reduced in a lot of places. Senior Fun Day is a difficult time. They're planning on some type of drive-through this fall. Speak Up or Pen Pals is over, and usually they have a wrap-up where they meet their person that they're communicating with, and that's not going to happen, but they did to get a lot of the stuff to the schools. They're going to have try to have a virtual update or meet each other online. A lot of discussion about the golf fundraiser. It's a big time fundraiser. It's set for August 14th. We're going to go ahead with it, but we're still waiting for a lot of details on that. On Wednesday, which is May 22nd, I believe, we had a Rolling Hills meeting. A couple of bigger things there. I'll just concentrate on the bigger things we had with Rolling Hills. We visited with Clay Adams about doing another program there. We'll call it Stepping Stones 2. They're looking at purchasing or renting the church as well as the building they have, and they're going to start their program there. We did approve them for the cost of $376,000 to go ahead and get started with that. We had a lot of discussion about the 28E agreement, and I think that the idea of having a weighted vote is acceptable to everyone. Some wards do not want the people to have any, the new members to have any weight. That's not possible, apparently, according to law. So we are going to get, and I've emailed Courtney and carbon copied Rich on this, a copy of the proposed 28E agreement, which will have the change of the voting, which is 3 new members will have a weight of 1, and all the regular members will have a weight of 3. I think this is workable. In addition to that, we approved a lot of the 21 contracts, and they're fiscal year of 21, which are very few changes involved. We have an ICAP liability renewal. I know former Supervisor Dan talked about a lot of the duplication of expenses, and this is one of them where we have a liability insurance of $700-800, whereas previously covered by each of our county policies. This week on Thursday morning, I have a conference call with Molly Scott on the CPPC situation there on some money that they're getting in. And apparently we're scheduling a supervisor meeting as well. Any questions? I apologize, I don't have my iPad completely hooked up. I'm doing this with my phone.
Okay, I'll go next. On Tuesday, I had a policy council meeting. We went through the financials. They were all looking in good shape, and considering what the what's happened with COVID and stuff, that with some of the programs being done or not being operated right now. We had no health and safety classroom playground issues. We talked about our early Head Start Center base. We had an update on that. The feds did approve our Perry location, but now we have to go back. The contract that was that the contractor that got the bid, now some of his subs have kind of backed out. There's been long enough time waiting here it didn't. So they're redoing those bids right now, but it seems like they're going to come in pretty close to what they originally were. We're waiting for on the Carroll project. We're waiting for approval from the feds on that, which we think should happen shortly. We did have an update on our Focus 2 area federal monitoring review, which went very well. We had a few things that were, we had to do some changes as far as reporting and their filing for applications that we had to make some changes in, but otherwise everything was okay. We haven't started up the summer program yet because of some issues that they've had there yet that we were going to do. Right now we're looking at maybe the middle of June, starting that up in between Carroll and Waukee. And then we also approved the transportation waiver for the school districts, which is basically, this is something that we do every year. In some districts, the school district provides transportation. According to Head Start regulations, they're supposed to have a 6-point safety harness in the bus and bus monitors, which they don't have. So we always have to apply for a waiver on that. We did also review the parent evaluations, and those were very good. Then on Thursday, I had New Opportunities Board meeting. We met again with the lawyer, Stu Cochran. He basically went over the duties and legal responsibilities. It's more or less a board training thing as far as liabilities as a board member and nepotism and conflict of interest and your duties of care and duty of loyalty and stuff like that. And then he talked about COVID-19. And he said right now, currently, he's got 61 cases pending on employment situations in regard to COVID-19. So this is going to open another can of worms also. We did approve our financial or accept our financials. Again, they were good. We accept our 990. We did approve a CSBG supplemental grant for $341,000. We had Chad give an update on our COVID-19 update for the center. And then again, we went over all the stuff that I talked about on policy council. The last thing we had was also got an additional grant for LIHEAP of $173,333, and we did approve that. Then this week I've got the radio and paper, and then we're looking at the also on Wednesday of another board meeting, and then I think the only other thing I got going on this week is the coalition on Friday.
Thanks, Dean.
Yep.
My week last week did not have too many things scheduled, but I had a lot of things going on. Several phone calls. Talked to Sarah Anderson several times concerning a particular couple subjects, and then also received a call from Roxy Reinhardt that also has some interest in maybe looking at general services work. So she just basically wanted to tell us that she's interested if we would choose to go that route or consider her as an option. She'd be willing to sit down and do some more visiting with us about that. I also, I received a letter this morning Courtney gave us from Pocahontas County. It's concerning the letter that we just sent them. It's their response in it's 3 pages, both sides. So I'm going to read it and I'll get the highlights to you. I just got it this morning and it appears that they're not happy with the DNR still. So I'll read it and see if I can get out of it what we need to. And if it looks like it, I may just copy it and try to get it out to you guys. So you can read it. Other than that, it looks like we're going to try to do a Zoom meeting Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We'll have one set up. We'll have one set up for then. We can always drop it if we don't see the need for it. I will visit with Sarah and or Dean in between and see if we see any need for that meeting. If not, I do not have anything else on the schedule in front of me this week. Okay. Anything else? Courtney, do you have anything? All right. If not, I guess I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
You have a motion and a second? I'll second that. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Thanks, everybody. Carl, how many people did you see? 10.
Everyone stay safe.
Yep. You too.
You too.